Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Surf Awards as you've never seen them before, and hopefully will never see them again. This is the point where I would normally be standing in the Grand Central Hotel in Glasgow telling you where the toilets and the fire escapes are, but that seems a little superfluous. However, we've got a great night lined up, and that's all very largely due to the excellent work of my colleague Emma Scott here, who organises the whole Surf Awards processes from beginning to end. And Emma, you're going to tell us a bit about keeping in contact with the outside world tonight, first of all.
Yeah, so we're encouraging everybody that has Twitter to get involved and use the hashtag Surf Awards or copy in the @SurfScott handle. So tweet us some photos, just make some comments, celebrate the projects, anything you want to tweet, get involved.
Great, thanks, Emma. You have something to say about last year's awards, Emma, about the bees. Is that right?
Yeah. So Surf is famous for their unique choice in award images. They have ranged from marbles and bottles to axolotls and leaf sheep. Last year, Findhorn Bay Arts passed the mantle to the 2019 winners to creatively showcase their winning mascot within their community. Despite the challenges of the past year, some projects still rose to the occasion, with Glenurquhart Care Project and Whale Arts taking their little bees on an adventure. It is now over to this year's winners to do the same with their little chameleon mascot, which was chosen to represent how our communities have adapted quickly to combat the impacts of the pandemic, similar to how chameleons can change colour in unknowing surroundings.
Great, thanks, Emma. Okay, so over to Surf chairperson Kate Wimpress, who's going to give us a formal welcome to the Surf Awards event tonight. Kate.
So, a very warm welcome to everyone joining us virtually from across Scotland this evening. Many of you, I know, will have attended our award ceremonies in previous years, enjoying good company and the twinkly surroundings of the Grand Central Hotel in Glasgow. But in these most strange of times, it is with some sadness that we are not gathered in our hundreds in the hotel ballroom, and that I am not looking out across a sea of faces, candelabras and well-set dinner tables. Hopefully that will be for next year. But as we gather this evening from our own firesides across the country, digitally connected and at the whim of the Wi-Fi, it strikes me that in this most challenging of years, it is even more important to celebrate the remarkable work happening across Scotland. Resilient, innovative and responsive communities have been central to the COVID response, and championing and underpinning work of this kind must be at the forefront of our minds and the minds of many others as we work to recover from the pandemic. It's clear that the communities we serve and we work within have been hardest hit by this pandemic, and so they must be listened to, invested in and fully supported to build their way back, not just to normal, but to a stronger place than at the outset. And this evening will showcase many examples of just how that can be done. So this event is the culmination of activities celebrating the 2020 Surf Awards. And I'm absolutely delighted that the Scottish Government Cabinet Secretary for Communities and Local Government, Aileen Campbell, is once again able to join us and will be announcing this year's Surf Award winners very soon. Surf's main partner in the Surf Awards process is the Scottish Government, and we are again grateful for all their support. Surf and the Scottish Government have now been delivering the Surf Awards process in partnership for 17 years. Special thanks must also go to our 5 additional Surf Awards partners, namely the Scottish Federation of Housing Associations, sponsor of the Housing and Regeneration category, Creative Scotland, sponsor of the Creative Regeneration category, Highlands and Islands Enterprise, sponsor of the Community-Led Regeneration category, Skills Development Scotland, sponsor of the Supporting Youth Employability category, and finally, joint sponsors of Scotland's Most Improved Place category, Architecture and Design Scotland and Scotland's Towns Partnership. Sincere thanks to all. So the support of all of our Surf Awards partners helps us to deliver a diverse set of thematic categories that covers all scales and types of regeneration category. This year, as in previous years, community regeneration projects of all sizes from all across Scotland were nominated for a Surf Award in the 5 categories you can see on the screen. In addition, And to recognise the year we've just travelled through together, we will be delivering a special recognition award to a project who delivered outstanding outcomes to support their local community through the COVID-19 crisis. All the nominees are carrying out effective and important work to address deep-rooted physical, social and economic challenges experienced in our communities the length and breadth of Scotland. Our awards process aims to highlight all of their substantial achievements and also to inspire more. But our awards are also about identifying, supporting and learning from those recognised as making the most impact, and we'll hear more about them shortly. As you may know, as well as showcasing the winners tonight, SURF will be carrying out a range of events to learn from and share their successes via our activities programme for 2021. One of the ways we'll be doing that is by arranging a series of free transferable lessons events in July. You can look out for details of these early in the spring, and if you aren't on our e-bulletin mailing list, then I'd urge you to sign up via our website to make sure you receive information about these events and all our regular updates. So as always at our awards, I want to pay thanks to our over 300 member organisations. Without their support, SURF wouldn't have the breadth, depth or reach to be able to deliver activities like the awards and our learning events. And I'm also particularly appreciative of our 9 key delivery partners, whose logos you can see on the screen now. These partners provide considerable support to help all of SURF's work, and we're pleased to have some of them joining this evening, virtually as it must be. And finally, we're grateful to last year's SURF Award winners for contributing their time to our activities throughout this year. So before we reveal the winners tonight, you will hear about 3 outstanding shortlisted projects in each category from some members of our judging panel. As in previous years, we've had 20 experts from key regeneration areas on our panel. 5 of them will shortly join us on screen, and they will be telling us about why their panel was particularly impressed by the projects they shortlisted. But I hope you agree, regardless of the outcome, everyone joining us this evening will be impressed by the major community regeneration impacts being made by all those who made the shortlist. As in previous years, our judges gave a huge amount of time and effort freely and enthusiastically in assessing all nominees, including visiting, virtually in many cases, more than a dozen shortlist projects over a 3-month period. Now, it continues to be a challenging environment for undertaking long-term regeneration work, more so given the incredible challenges we have all faced across the last year. I hope you agree that it is therefore important that we do all we can to learn from the remarkable impacts and achievements we will hear about this evening. So without further ado, I hope you have a fantastic evening, and I'm now going to hand back over to Andy and Emma to introduce the first category award.
So thank you very much, Kate. And just before we do that, let's just run through again how this process is going to work. Kate's already said we've got 5 categories. The first one's housing, supported by the SFHA, creative by Creative Scotland, community-led by Highlands and Islands Enterprise, supporting youth employability by Skills Development Scotland, and Scotland's Most Improved Place, supported by Scotland's Towns Partnership and Architecture and Design Scotland. So we're going to take them in that order, and in for the first one, I'm going to ask the judge from the judging team to come forward and introduce the 3 shortlisted projects that they selected from their studies of the applications and their virtual visits. And once we've done that, we'll hear delightedly from Cabinet Secretary Aileen Campbell, who will announce the winner Oscar style by opening an envelope. Those judges that Kate mentioned, by the way, have had to keep quiet on this since November last year. There's normally just a 4 or 5 week gap between making the decisions at the final judging panel and the awards dinner, but for this year, that's been extended considerably. So I can only hope that one of the underplayed benefits of social distancing is that they've done a great job in keeping it secret until now. So I know there are a lot of you very keen out there to hear the final outcomes, so we'll go into the first category. Over to you, Emma, to introduce that, please.
Tonight's first award is for Housing and Regeneration, which I am delighted to announce is now delivered with the support of our partners at the Scottish Federation of Housing Associations. This award recognises and promotes the achievements of all housing providers, and ensuring that their investments are planned and delivered in a way which produces substantial and lasting benefits to people and communities, as well as meeting the shared aims of wider regeneration partners. Sarah Jackson of SFHA was one of the judges in this category, and I will now invite her to tell us about the 3 shortlisted initiatives.
The first shortlisted project for the SURF Award in Housing and Regeneration is Gairloch. This project is an excellent example of how a community worked together to find a solution to a significant challenge in their village, which was a derelict hotel site that had been destroyed by a fire. The result was a transformation of this centrally located brownfield site into an impressive development, including 19 affordable homes to rent, 6 low-cost home ownership dwellings, a farm and garden shop, which the judges were very disappointed we couldn't visit in person, and a tourist information hub, to name just a few. The judges loved the holistic, multi-partner and forward-looking proposals, demonstrating how housing, when delivered in partnership with other compatible functions, can unlock development sites and provide wider socio-economic benefits to local communities. The patience and perseverance of the various organisations involved in the project was recognised, alongside the foresight of the Development Trust in banking land for use as non-housing sites, which supported this wider benefit to the communities. It is hoped that the worthy project ambitions and outcomes can be replicated across other rural areas. The second shortlisted project is Dunarn Street in Newtile, a small Angus village of less than 1,000 people. The judges were particularly impressed with the excellent working relationships between the various council officials and departments, the contractor, the local community, and importantly, the adjacent primary school throughout the planning and building process. We were also delighted to be able to meet the head teacher of the primary school as part of the virtual visit. The project team put together an excellent video, and it was clear just how much time was taken to produce it. We were really pleased to see in the video interviews with all of the key players within the team, and we were keen to tell Jamie that we knew he had a future in YouTube if he ever considered it. What stood out for the judges as part of the Zoom virtual visit was the team's willingness to focus on lessons learned and how they can improve on the process in the future. Built to a very high standard with placemaking at its heart, the houses comprise a mixture of wheelchair accessible and mainstream family homes with high levels of energy efficiency. These houses will have a significant and positive impact on the lives of the tenants, as well as providing for the socio-economic well-being of the village itself. The final project shortlisted for the SURF Award in Housing and Regeneration is the Nith Valley Lead Trust community-owned Passive House project. This project was supported by the Dumfries and Galloway Small Communities Housing Trust, which in November 2020 converted to a new structure in the name of South of Scotland Community Housing. This project saw the completion of the first community-owned passive homes in Scotland, and the development comprises of 3 family-sized homes. The judges were particularly impressed by the Trust's vision to provide high-quality, energy-efficient homes to tackle fuel poverty and climate change, and the partnership approach adopted to turn this vision into reality. Strong community engagement demonstrated the need for family housing, and a lettings initiative ensured allocations were made to local people in greatest housing need. Tenant feedback on how their new homes had changed their lives was inspiring, and a reminder of the difference that affordable quality homes can make. The project's team commitment to carry out a post-occupancy evaluation study and share the findings from this to help promote good practice and knowledge transfer was very impressive. Overall, the judges felt that the team should be very proud of what they've achieved in delivering a project which will help sustain the community for years to come.
Thank you, Sarah. Now over to the Cabinet Secretary to announce the winner.
Thanks, Emma. What wonderful homes, all inspiring projects. And it gives me great pleasure to announce that the winner of the Housing and Regeneration category of the 2020 SURF Awards is Nith Valley Leaf Trust Community-Owned Passive House Project. Congratulations.
And now over to Jacob Kay from Nith Valley Leaf Trust to accept the award.
Thank you very much. Well, yeah, I think all I need to do is really say thank you to everybody involved in the project, especially to you, Surf, for supporting it, Aileen Campbell and the judges for choosing it. I'm very proud to have been involved with it. And I'd like to thank the Nith Valley Leaf Trust, my employers, especially Mike Steele, who has really driven this project through and got me on board, which I'm very, very proud to have worked on. And to thank what were the Dumfries and Galloway Small Communities Housing Trust and now the South of Scotland Community Housing Organisation. So Mike Staples and Stacey Bradley helped a lot getting it going. And then the team, Matt Bridgestock, John Gilbert Architects, and their partnership with Stewart and Shield has been fantastic to pioneer this concept of creating affordable passive houses. I really look forward to seeing how they develop it further, and it's working really well. Tenants are very happy. Everyone's happy, and obviously our funders, without it couldn't have happened. Scottish Government, Neil Moore at the Rural Housing Fund deserves a big thanks for helping us through it. Scottish Land Fund, SSE Clyde, Dumfries and Galloway Council, Annandale and Nithsdale Community Benefit Fund, Lawburn Housing Association, and the loan providers, Ecology Building Society, and the support of Community Land Scotland, and obviously the Closeburn community, who have been really supportive throughout, and I think it's really woken up the community's eyes as to the possibilities which can happen under community ownership. Is a very exciting time. So yeah, this is going to really help the community, and we also got our passive house certificate today, which we're going to be putting on the houses very soon. So it's a great day all in all. So this will be going on soon, and yeah, we hope to be able to help other people who might want to do something similar. Please get in touch with me. I'd be very happy to help if I can. So thank you all very much.
Congratulations and thank you, Jacob. Culture and creativity have always been recognised by SURF as an important element of regeneration. And with that, our second category recognises best practice in creative regeneration. This award is sponsored by our long-standing partner, Creative Scotland. It rewards best practice in placing artists, arts and creativity at the heart of community regeneration efforts. In 2020, that included highlighting creative organisations and projects who have been adapted to support communities during the COVID-19 crisis and who plan to support the recovery and rebuilding of their communities as we move towards building back. I'd like to invite our judging panel representative and former winner, Karen Orr of Rig Arts, to tell us about the 3 projects shortlisted in this category.
The Glasgow Barons, named after the shipbuilding barons, is an orchestra based in Govan which revitalises local venues with performances and makes music with Govan's diverse communities. The organisation has been working in Govan since 2017 and have established connections with other locally based groups, regeneration projects and agencies to build a new story for Govan as a thriving creative community. At the shortlisting stage, judges were very impressed with the level of support provided to the community during lockdown and willingness to partner locally, working with the limitations of government-imposed restrictions. It was clear to see that there was a desire to play a key role in working with local people and partners to reimagine a future vision for Govan. The virtual visit demonstrated the immense joy that projects such as the Linties and Foods of Love gigs have brought to people at a difficult time. The Barons' passion and enthusiasm for their work and in improving their community from within was very evident. Their ability to engage with a diverse range of people using different musical genres and approaches to build confidence and social cohesion was commendable. The Barons is an exemplary project which gives all Govan residents the opportunity to express themselves and to have their voice heard through music regardless of their age, class or nationality. Their ambitions for a small town orchestra working with local musicians and people to revitalise Govan is innovative and exciting. This was an authentic project that responds to the needs of their community with creativity to great effect. Toonspeak Young People's Theatre is an established youth-led organisation entering its 33rd year. Toonspeak works with artists and young people to create new works across many art forms. Toonspeak is on a mission to transform lives through creativity, working with 0 to 25-year-olds in some of Scotland's most deprived communities to provide a progression programme that offers genuine transformative opportunities for individuals and communities. At the shortlisting stage, the judges were very impressed with the engagement and trust that has been built up over many years with the local community and an extensive and timeless reaction to lockdown as a community anchor organisation. This included an extension of partnership working even through a period of restrictive contact and staff going to exceptional lengths to provide a consistent service. The quality and diversity of the creative activities offered from Toonspeak, along with enthusiasm and enabling culture displayed by the team at the virtual visit, was very impressive. Their connection to and passion for supporting and empowering the young people was very evident, along with their pride for their area. Toonspeak has been very responsive to the needs of their community in maintaining strong local connections and widening their reach in the pandemic, including innovative individual assessments of digital needs and supporting young people to adapt to using digital resources and interventions. The contributions from young people and their families during the virtual visit were beautiful and heartwarming, and it was clear for the judges to see how much they value Toonspeak and the huge impact it has had on their lives. Creative Steps for Positive Mental Health, based in Govan and developed through Plantation Productions' Making Art Matter initiative, delivers creative peer support groups to individuals experiencing enduring mental health conditions and a lack of connection with their communities. Using a progression model of 3 steps, they deliver outreach creative participation groups based within health settings to reach individuals in their place of treatment, establishing strong connections and relationships with statutory services. They programme community-based art groups from Gallery 966 in Govan and support progression into volunteering. Creative Steps strives to bring creative activity to individuals who may not have previously taken part and promote the benefits of creative participation. At the shortlisting stage, the judges were impressed with the wide range of varied craft-related activities, broad partnership approach, and the embedded approach to taking participants on a journey building confidence through creativity and human connections. There was clear involvement and support for beneficiaries to advocate the services to other potential participants through skills development, volunteering and group tuition interventions. The Creative Steps for Positive Mental Health programme results demonstrated the power of using creativity to positively transform people's lives, adding substantial social value benefits. The progression of participants through the 3-step programme was very impressive and is supported by an evidence base of success, along with the strength of their partnership to support their work. At the virtual visit, the judges enjoyed learning about the model of early intervention, working with statutory service, including occupational therapists and social prescribers, with an impressive joined-up approach across health and the arts.
Thank you, Karen, and I will now invite Aileen to announce the winner.
Thank you, and what a wonderful showcase of creativity and talent, building cohesion, tackling inequality and empowering. So on that basis, it gives me great pleasure to announce that the winner of the Creative Regeneration category of the 2020 SURF Awards is the Glasgow Barons.
I will now invite Paul McAlinden of Govan's Glasgow Barons to accept the award.
Wow, I know what you mean when you say your heart's beating. That was not expected. And thank you, Julie, for choosing the Glasgow Barons for this great honour. And thank you, Cabinet Secretary and Sir, for this wonderful award. Last year turned everything on its head, of course, but thanks to our super strong board, led by my chair, John Wallace, and some very understanding funders such as Creative Scotland, the William Grant Foundation and Robertson Trust, we are in great shape. For example, currently we're Glasgow Life's artist in residence for Govan, delivering music groups and lessons by Zoom, as well as me going into playgrounds to do music lessons for local primary schools. Then we've just finished our critically acclaimed online music festival, Pandemonium, most of which was based in Govan and is cross-genre. Finally, our flagship project, Musicians in Exile, successfully transferred online to make sure that the most vulnerable folk in our community, asylum seekers and refugees, stayed connected and engaged. But mostly, I want to thank everybody in Govan who took a punt on a conductor with a crazy idea and came together to help make it work again and again and again. By the way, Andy, am I the only finalist to get a hamper from Surf today full of soap and scented candles and incense? Is this a hint that we've all to wash before turning up to next year's awards ceremony? Look, it doesn't matter. I'm sure we're all feeling that whilst tonight's ceremony is very unique, it's a privilege to stand with Plantation Productions, TuneSpeak, and all the other projects who are working tirelessly to create a clean slate for Scotland as we face a future of uncertainty, but also of innovation and determination. Thanks again.
Thanks, Paul. Very well deserved. The third and most popular category for applications focuses on community-led regeneration, and this year looks to reward projects which have been dynamic in their response to the impacts of COVID-19 on their community, as well as featuring representatives of a community of place or theme in a leading role. The community-led regeneration category continues to be sponsored by Surf partner Highlands and Islands Enterprise. Last year's winner, Kirsty Fowler from the Ochiltree Community Hub in East Ayrshire, will provide some background on this year's 3 shortlisted projects.
Bridgend Farmhouse Community Hub is based a stone's throw from the city of Edinburgh, a historic site that was asset transferred to the community from the local council. Bridgend Farmhouse boasts outdoor spaces including workshops, an eco-bothy and event spaces, and when you venture inside the farmhouse, there is more diverse spaces, which include a vibrant cafe and a training kitchen. When meeting the team at Bridgend, the judges were walked through the hub and how it was refurbished and the desires for the future of the space. Our virtual visit was led by passionate volunteers with a committed group of trustees in the wings. It was very clear the positive impact of the people the hub has, and in turn the positive impacts the volunteers have on the facility. When the COVID pandemic started, Bridgend Farmhouse had an in-depth knowledge of the social inequalities within the local community and the increased stress that a pandemic would have upon these. The response of the community was in line with a lot of groups sending food parcels, maintaining bikes, but they didn't stop there. If you can't come together as a community in your community hub, what can you do? Well, Bridgend took community online, keeping people going with arts and crafts workshops, singing groups and bingo. The judges felt that Bridgend Farmhouse Community Hub have committed fully to improving the lives of the people in their community and beyond, using passion to empower and educate, a flourishing project for all. The Tannahill Centre is a community hub located at Fergusley Park in Paisley. Within the centre there are many local amenities like the local post office. The Tannahill Centre has been at the centre of the community for 25 years, but has been described as anything but the heart of the community on its journey through these times. It was described as a good shortcut by one member of the community in our virtual visit. In recent years, however, the centre has pushed for change. With a clear aim of empowering the community, the Tannahill Centre has joined with passionate community activists and has moved the priority of the facility. On the virtual tour of the Tannahill, the judges were introduced to the staff and partners that create a joined-up approach to improving the lives of the people within the community. There was a clear demand for more from the people, and the new Field Centre has built anticipation and desire. When the COVID pandemic started, the Tanna Health Centre responded with information for their community. This grew to meet the needs for food. From there, the response moved to help with other needs of the community, a telephone service for isolation help, emergency fuel support, outreach work for the young people. The influence of the centre can now be seen to change lives and the streets that the people live on. The judges enjoyed exploring the journey of the Tanna Health Centre, and it showed that without unity, community engagement and community development isn't possible. A huge effort has been made to create a partnership with the community to help make it thrive. The Tanna Health Centre may be located on the edge of Fergusley Park, but its positive spirit can be found as you walk through the streets beyond its gates. Rom Romea Community Renewal is based in the Govanhill area of Glasgow. Community Renewal has worked within the area for more than a decade. The result, a for Roma, by Roma approach, which has given life to a national Roma-led community development trust. During the judges' visit, Community Renewal staff walked us through the priorities that the Roma community have identified. The group highlighted the positive impact that hiring Roma people has had and the fact that it's been a key factor in building relationships and growing trust within the community. We were introduced to a number of key volunteers. Each showed passion and a strong drive to improve Roma lives. The COVID pandemic has been a tough experience for everyone. However, within the Roma community, there has been more than just the virus to contend with. Alongside creating a food distribution network, Rom Romea had to develop online platforms to continue to help with the EU settlement scheme and to provide Roma language advice on the pandemic and other key public health priorities. The group targeted isolation with workshops and online groups to help with the negative impacts of the pandemic. For Roma, by Roma encapsulates the aspiration for creating positive change for the community. The judges were really impressed by the enthusiastic involvement of the Roma people as staff and volunteers. The passionate partnership ethos clearly comes across. Increasing the visibility and the presence of Roma people on partnerships in the wider Govanhill regeneration strategies is a key benefit of the evolving nature of this group. They are at a pivotal moment in their journey to being the empowered voice in local regeneration.
Thanks, Kirsty, and over to you, Aileen.
Thank you. And what hugely exciting and impactful projects led by empowered and vibrant communities. I so wish I could visit you all, but until then, I'm so pleased to announce that the winner of the community-led regeneration category of the 2020 Surf Awards is the Tanna Health Centre.
And now over to Jamie Mallon, who is representing the Tanna Health Centre to accept the award.
Wow, totally delighted. And by going by my phone buzzing, so are our staff and volunteers. I think one of the really important things is the other projects that were shortlisted are really inspiring as well. So being shortlisted in itself is amazing. We're just really chuffed. I think the other thing is for our organisation, it's not just about us being able to showcase what our amazing staff volunteers have been doing, but actually to showcase the community of Fergusley Park. Fergusley Park has a really unfair reputation out there. And we know winning the Surf Award gives folk the opportunity to showcase what they're good at. But we want to showcase our community and show that Fergusley Park is a creative and dynamic community. And we're really looking forward to seeing how we can incorporate the surf community into our work moving forward. So thank you very much. Absolutely delighted.
Congratulations and thank you, Jamie. Our penultimate Surf Awards category is for supporting youth employability. This award is for supporting community regeneration by providing skills and employability support to help young people aged 16 to 29 years fulfil their potential. Projects will have demonstrated innovative approaches to transforming their services to continue to provide ongoing support to young people through the COVID-19 pandemic. This category is sponsored by our key delivery partner, Skills Development Scotland. I'd like to invite our judging panel representative, Elaine Walls, from Skills Development Scotland, to tell us about the 3 projects shortlisted in this year's category.
The first project in the Supporting Youth Employability category is Move On's Employability Fund programme. This is a programme that provides skills and time in the workplace focused around the Fair Share food programme. This programme redistributes excess food from supermarkets and producers through community schemes. Like many other organisations, COVID-19 has affected their operations, but rather than closing down, Move On has continued with its training and, being an essential service, has tripled the amount of food distributed. And it's worth noting that all food is processed by the trainees. The young people experience substantial and practical learning. They develop a strong understanding of the full cold chain. The complex skills of distribution and logistics are also learned. A highly prized goal amongst the young people is achieving their forklift licence. This is all done through engaging with a wide range of people in different teams, which develops their awareness of how to cope in an employability setting. Move On deals with young people at all stages of the employability pathway. They see people arrive sometimes barely able to cope with fairly face-to-face conversation. The pathway has been so successful that we saw some participants who were on stage 3 and they're acting as the leads for the stage 2 group. Move On has even further recruited some of its own completers to continue that cycle of support. The programme has been so successful that it's been held up as a best practice model across the wider Fair Share network, which is fantastic. They've even developed their own SVQ tailored to fit their learners' needs. The judges were really impressed with the flexible person-centred approach. The huge impact was wonderfully described by the young people who joined our visit and talked enthusiastically and confidently about the benefits of their time with Move On. The second shortlisted project is Street League's Head, Body, Future programme. This programme was developed by Street League when the staff saw the effects COVID was having on their participants' physical and mental health. Street League faced a specific challenge. How do you take 17 community programmes online, especially when they're all about sport? Their answer was the Head, Body, Future programme. The Head element tackles mental health challenges. Body engages with their large portfolio of fitness classes, not just their original football. The Future looks at how to alleviate poverty and supercharge young people to be able to move forward. With young people unable to access face-to-face learning during the COVID lockdown, Street League staff had to become creative quickly. They found ways to engage, including sourcing a large number of devices and also sending out data bolt-ons to their participants so they could access the learning. Apps like TikTok and Strava were used to let young people show their progress and to share their goals. The joining process stopped being a form and became a QR code. That QR code also allows their newly recruited social media expert to target information to the online areas that young people are actually accessing. This has created a gain in traction, which has led them not just survive, but to reach significantly more young people. So much so that they've now opened up pathway relationships with several new schools who previously did not engage with them. They've even brought several substantial employers on board during lockdown. The effect on the young people was profoundly explained by one participant who'd suffered from an enormous lack of self-confidence. This lady's online participation had begun with the camera off, but gradually she became able to show her face to the group as she gained confidence. The transformation that we witnessed was enormous. The final shortlisted project is the Community Renewal Trust, and I'll excuse me calling it CRT. This is a programme which reaches out way beyond the traditional employability pipeline, and it brings young people both increased self-confidence and employability skills. CRT have chosen to work with some of this country's most vulnerable young people. Recruitment happens in a unique, granular, person-by-person process. Building confidence is a theme that runs powerfully through CRT's work. They work creatively with local schools where they have established continuous links despite COVID and despite school closures. The young people benefit from a very tailored one-to-one approach using techniques like Thrive, which helps them to create a baseline emotional and behavioural skills profile. This helps the young person adapt to the expectations and the challenges of the workplace. Often, basic employability skills such as CV writing can be beyond their experience. CRT, however, works through that jargon with the young person, jargon that you and I might take for granted. For example, what exactly is a CV if you've never seen anyone in your family write one? Impressively, CRT works with young people before they leave school, and that builds the relationship into the next stages. Performance anxiety for some of these young people means that they can feel more stressed leaving the safety of the course to go on to a so-called positive destination. It's actually easier for them to leave with no destination. But the impact of this programme was clear in one participant who passionately described the importance of the trust on their life. That young person could barely speak in one-to-one conversation and has now become an enthusiastic, engaging conversationalist who is eagerly looking forward to the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Aileen, and I will now pass to Ms Campbell to announce the winner.
Thanks, Emma, and what an incredible category project, seeing the talents and potential of our wonderful young people and supporting them during this really difficult time. It gives me great pleasure, however, to announce that the winner of the Supporting Youth Employability category of the 2020 SURF Awards is Street League, Head, Body, Future.
Let's hear from Dougie Stevenson from Street League as he accepts the award.
That's such a tense way to win an award. It's like an old game show. I'm old enough to remember a few game shows that I won't mention. But yeah, thank you very much. First and foremost, just to say that it's a pleasure to share a platform with Move On and Community Renewal, two incredible third sector organisations. I know Jim Burns and John Hinton at Move On really well, and I had the pleasure of meeting Paul McColgan some time ago at Community Renewal. Incredible organisations that do great work. Also, Aileen, congratulations on 14 years as an MSP. Your anti-poverty work's to be commended. Best of luck to St Johnstone in the Cup final and your future with the kids in camper vanning. What a great endorsement from the team at SURF. Thanks so much. We are literally buzzing about this award. It's a great endorsement. I need to say thanks to the staff at Street League who have been incredible. There's a Teams chat next to the Vimeo and the Zoom that's on here, and there's a lot of pictures which won't make it online. We would definitely be the rowdy table. We're committed to helping Scotland's youth, making Scotland a better place, and this means a lot to us. Thanks so much.
Thank you and congratulations to you and the team, Dougie. The final category tonight is Scotland's Most Improved Place. Place-based regeneration has been a key point of focus for SURF and the Scottish Government in recent years, and this category is sponsored by two partners that share our common goal, Architecture and Design Scotland and Scotland's Towns Partnership. The purpose of this category is to highlight the positive impacts that planning and regeneration activity have on Scotland's places. There is a shared interest in increased collaboration across public, private, third and community sectors to support the revitalisation of towns, villages, high streets and neighbourhoods. The practical place focus is increasingly seen as helpful in considering wider physical, social and economic challenges. It also celebrates collaborative approaches taken by communities across Scotland in response to COVID-19. Kirsty McCarry, representing Architecture and Design Scotland, will now provide some background in each of the 3 places shortlisted.
The first shortlisted project in the Scotland's Most Improved Place category is Campbelltown Town Centre. However, our virtual visit meant no visit to the Hills and Harbour, but this didn't detract from seeing the resulting projects delivered by public, private, community and third sector that have had participation at their core from the beginning. Partnership working has created the conditions that enable local businesses to thrive. This includes repurposing local buildings, improving frontages, and enhancing the public realm. Initially facilitated by the local authority, the community are empowered to shape and deliver their own projects. The judges were inspired by the holistic approach to living, learning, and working, with both physical and digital connections, which are clearly attracting young people and new investors. Trust and perseverance has been the key to delivering all these changes. Our virtual visit continued with a trip to Newcomnock, which has had a renewed sense of pride and community resilience at its heart, which was just the tonic for the judges. This has seen the continuation of success from the town hall and outdoor swimming pool refurbishments, and the success of many projects developing from community asset transfers and community land ownership, such as football pitches, gardens and allotments. Accessibility has been key with a network of volunteers and groups who, prior to COVID-19, were already making significant contributions. The unprecedented situation of 2020 has seen this network even more in demand, with the establishment of a food larder and the continued distribution of newsletters, ensuring that no community member was left out and was fully aware of all the help that is available to them in the area. It was very much summed up with the can-do rather than can-eat attitude that was clearly demonstrated to the judges. Fernbury Meadows on the western edge of South Lanarkshire has seen innovative repurposement of a former golf course. Volunteers continue to be at its core, which has seen the physical uses such as outdoor classrooms, allotments and walking groups complement the mental, physical and well-being needs of the local community, whilst providing interaction opportunities across all ages. Judges were impressed with the use of locally sourced material and skills, showing a sustainable approach to longer-term aspirations and at how quickly Fernbury Meadows has become an integral part of the local place. The resulting increased number of users accessing the site and the importance of this space, as with access to all spaces for the community throughout the pandemic, is really clear. How else can you garnish such a project which is perfectly described as a walk in the country in the middle of the town?
Thanks, Kirsty. And for the last time this evening, I will pass to the Cabinet Secretary to open the winning envelope.
Thanks so much, and what a wonderful evening, so inspiring. It has been a pleasure to be with you, albeit virtually. And what an incredible category, examples of fantastic projects, transforming places and spaces with real dedication, patience and hard graft. So inspiring, so impactful. All worthy winners, but there can be only one. So for the last time, I'm pleased to announce that the winner of Scotland's Most Improved Place category of the 2020 Surf Awards is Campbelltown Town Centre.
And now over to James Lafferty of Argyll and Bute Council to accept the award on behalf of Campbelltown.
Thank you, Emma and Cabinet Secretary. I'm delighted to accept this award on behalf of Campbelltown Town Centre Regeneration Project. The award is a testament to the outstanding work of the project in transforming our historic town. A key element has been the partnership working between the council, the community, businesses and the private and public sectors. From my colleagues including Cara Browning, Moira Patterson, Our funders, the local councillors, to the local people, there's too many people to thank or acknowledge, but we're so grateful for all the passion and commitment all our partners have put into the project. Argyll and Bute Council is committed to attracting people to live and work here and to help support and grow the local economy. In order for that to happen, we recognise vital investment is needed. Our work has delivered major improvements in the town. It's built heritage, public realm, housing, port and road infrastructure, and we are already seeing the benefits. It's great to see so many buildings repaired and vacant shops and flats brought back into use, supporting new businesses, jobs and living accommodation. The regeneration works have already attracted new businesses. That being said, we're conscious that there's still much more work to be done. Thanks again.
Congratulations to you and the team in Campbelltown, James. In a time that has been like no other, where communities have come together and people have been asked to stop and be still, whilst heroes protected and supported in a variety of frontline roles, it felt right that Surf add one additional award that will recognise the outstanding efforts of a project to help mitigate the negative impacts of COVID-19 on their community. Whilst many projects across Scotland could have easily been chosen to receive this award, the judges have recognised the efforts of one particular group who built upon existing partnership work to come together in the spring of 2020 to deliver the local response to the COVID pandemic. The partnership includes third, public and private sectors working together to meet local needs. They made use of social media and delivered leaflets to 10,000 homes to ensure no household was missed. The COVID crisis brought an immediate community need for support with things such as shopping, hot food provision and prescription collection, and loss of employment had resulted in hardship and limited prospects in the current economy. The project responded quickly by delivering in excess of 590 prescriptions, 800 pick-me-up bags, free meals to key workers, over 5,457 free hot meals to the vulnerable and shielding, and 1,000+ activity bags for children and adults. The group referred people for financial assistance from organisations such as Citizens Advice and Money Matters, and to support with mental wellbeing and isolation, they made over 500 wellbeing calls per week. While national organisational support is well recognised, the group has shown and demonstrated the unique value local partnerships bring, with local knowledge and local connections. This partnership highlights that the strong relationship with their community and networks has the potential to add incredible value moving forward. It is my absolute honour to announce the winner of Surf's Special Recognition Award in 2020 as Ambitious Partnership for Improvement, locally known as the Larkhall COVID Rainbows. I will now ask Nancy Barr of Larkhall Community Growers to accept the award on behalf of the partnership.
On behalf of the partnership, which has evolved into Larkhall Community Network, which is, as Emma has said, is a partnership of public, private and third sector organisations, I would like to say that we are thrilled and humbled to be selected to receive this award. It's been great to hear about the amazing work being done by groups represented here, and when you multiply that up across Scotland, it's just phenomenal what's going on, and it's just really encouraging. These projects are led and delivered by community-focused people who are prepared to go the extra mile when it's needed. And so many people have been involved in the delivery of our project, from planning the details to engaging with the community, securing funding, assessing the need and delivering support where required, and most of whom were actually volunteers. It's been an amazing journey, and while we've built strong relationships and seen good things happen, we know that this is only the beginning. We have great ambitions, and these will be achieved primarily because of the commitment and the heart of the people involved and their desire to see improvements in the quality of life of those living in our local communities of Larkhall, Ashgill and Netherburn and Dalserf. While we're living in extremely challenging times, in the midst of these, we are seeing ordinary people achieving extraordinary things. and we have an opportunity to give local people a voice that can impact their daily lives and also to build community responsibility. We believe in local solutions for local issues. So I just want to say a huge big thank you to SURF for recognising the work that's been done here in Larkhall and the surrounding area. And thank you for this encouragement, which we will take with us in the next stage of our journey. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Nancy. The judges would also like to recognise and highly commend the efforts of Felderoo, a local food distribution project based in Aberfeldy, and We Stand Better When We Stand Together, led by the Colledean Community Centre in Glenrothes. I will now pass back to Andy.
Thank you very much, Emma. And that concludes the presentations. But as Nancy was saying there, there's fantastic work going on all over Scotland. Awards processes are great and people generally love them. But of course, at the end of it, some people are really delighted and others less so. But I hope that if you're involved in a project here at all that's been shortlisted, I hope you still welcome that profile. And the profile that comes with being selected as a highly commended project under the SURF award system. We'll be sending out certificates to all of the winners and all of the shortlisted projects tomorrow, and we'll also be featuring lots of details about the work of each and every project that you've heard about tonight in a special publication. And that will go out to over 2,000 members across the SURF network. We're always very keen to highlight the work that goes on and is often, sometimes for the general public, obscured by their daily lives, but goes on there holding things together, making things better and building a better Scotland. So you can view the publication, all the details on the SURF website, or if you prefer a hard copy, then please just do email Emma and she'll get them sent over to you. So while the SURF Awards are a great event, as I say, the real purpose of the SURF Awards is to highlight the very broad work that goes across all over Scotland. And our job's not just to promote those challenges that communities and councils and other partners are facing, and indeed the successes that they're having, but also what can be learned from those successes and those challenges. And every year, as well as doing this and amongst the rest of our work, Emma runs a series of shared learning events which help us look at those successes and challenges of these particular projects and compare and contrast them with what people are doing and what people are trying to pull together elsewhere. Emma, would you like to just say a little bit about how that works and how people can be involved?
Yep, thanks Andy. As Andy said, the awards don't end after the virtual confetti has been swept up after tonight's celebrations. We will be running a series of 4 themed shared learning workshops. This year they will be held in July, that bring the projects together to discuss and share what's worked, but also what challenges they have faced and how they will overcome. There will also be input from some of our national partners to give a wider policy context and inform a deeper discussion. So keep an eye on the SURF website and social media, or sign up to the SURF e-bulletin for further details in the coming weeks. And who knows, we might even get back in a room with soggy sandwiches once again. And now I'll pass back to Andy.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you. Soggy sandwiches. That wasn't the Grand Central, of course. That was the learning ones, wasn't it? Yes, our soggy sandwiches. So thank you for all of that. SURF has always worked hand in hand with the Scottish Government in trying to more successfully develop regeneration policy and practice. And one of our greatest friends in that over recent years has been Cabinet Secretary Aileen Campbell. Gosh, I'm going to be a little bit controversial here and say politicians come and go. As many of you will know, Aileen is stepping down in May. We will be very, very sorry to see Aileen go. It's very clear, as a veteran of not just SURF awards processes, but SURF conferences, which can be even more combative and challenging, Aileen is a solid, sincere supporter of community regeneration in Scotland, and we have greatly appreciated her work over the years. So it gives me pleasure to hand over to Aileen now to say something about her work and how that works alongside SURF's work to create a better Scotland. Thank you. Over to you, Aileen.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for inviting me to join you at the SURF Awards event for 2020. It's sad that we cannot get together to enjoy each other's company, but I am so glad that SURF have worked hard to enable us to gather and celebrate some of the best examples of what communities can do when they're trusted and empowered. And this celebration is more important than ever, because while we still are in the midst of tackling the pandemic, the resilience of the country simply would not have been what it was had it not been for our communities. Communities the length and breadth of Scotland have rolled up their sleeves, mobilised and worked hard to look after one another and to support those who need it. And without exception, you have been guided by compassion and care. What you have done and continue to do is inspiring. And the lesson that this experience needs to bring to decision makers across Scotland, regardless of whether they are in national or local government or in the public sector, is clear. It is that when we enable our communities to do what they do best, when we loosen the bureaucratic grip and trust our communities, the outcomes are impressive. And that shouldn't come as any sort of surprise, because it's what you've been doing in your communities for generations. Quietly getting on with things, making things better, and often achieving things in spite of the system around you. So thank you for all you have done to look after folk, getting their messages, getting medicines, and keeping folk fed and looked after. You've kept people safe, and we are so grateful, and thank you for all the work that you've done in this most challenging year, but for also every other year too. As the vaccine starts to be rolled out more widely, we can now tentatively dare to hope of emerging from the necessary restrictions the pandemic has brought. In daring to hope, however, we also have a choice. Do we want to get back to normal, a normality that failed too many and embedded inequality and exacerbated the impact of this pandemic? Or do we want to use this moment to rebuild and reform what we do? To work together to create a Scotland that doesn't simply accept poverty as somehow inevitable. For me, I want to do what I can to choose a renewed Scotland, and that is why we established the Social Renewal Advisory Board. It was tasked with guiding us through the actions we need to take to create that fairer Scotland. It was shaped by the views and opinions of people and communities, and contains 20 calls for action to guide how we reform and how we renew. The report, entitled If Not Now, When?, captures the mood of opportunity that so many are eager to seize, and is part of a growing momentum for change that pushes us to value and empower our people and communities. Kate Wimpress has led some of that work with her role in Scotland's first ever Citizens' Assembly, a rebalancing of democracy in action that urges us to do politics differently, echoes the calls to strengthen our ambitions for our communities, and wants us to work hard to create a hopeful Scotland defined by integrity, humility, and confidence. But I'm conscious that along with fine words and aspiration, communities need to have action, and that is why we are establishing a place-based investment programme backed by £275 million of funding over 5 years. This will ensure a coherent approach to progress our ambitions for place, localism and 20-minute neighbourhoods, thriving, accessible places where most people can meet their daily needs online or in person within a 20-minute walk from their homes. And these plans include a continuation of the £25 million Regeneration Capital Grant Fund, which has been so successful in enabling locally developed projects that transform, inspire and regenerate communities across Scotland. And we're also continuing to progress our Scotland Loves Local marketing campaign to encourage people to support their local businesses and communities safely in their cities, towns and villages. And we're building on this with the Scotland Loves Local Fund, delivering small-scale, local, place-based improvements. For me, in what will be my last SURF Awards as Cabinet Secretary, I want to tell you just how much SURF and all the communities I have met through them have shaped my thinking and my approach, and what have made some of our funding decisions possible. I've met countless people around Scotland doing phenomenal, innovative and imaginative things. You're tackling climate change, you're building cohesion and solidarity, you're boosting the economy, you're employing folk and you are providing opportunity. Our aspirations for Scotland cannot happen unless you are supported. So to all the nominees, regardless of whether you win or not, know that your work is noticed and recognised by government, and your stories and activism shape what we do. We might not always get things right, we might not go fast enough or frustrate you, but know that you do inspire, and your activism has set in place longer term plans to help regenerate even more communities. The collective impact of what you deliver is massive, and we are determined to keep supporting you as much as we can. So, on behalf of the whole of the Scottish Government, a sincere and heartfelt thank you. We truly appreciate what you do. And the truth is, in the face of fiscal challenges, Brexit, and an ongoing and devastating pandemic, we're going to continue to need you to help us realise the country we want Scotland to be. One that is reformed, renewed and fairer. It won't be easy, but working together, we give ourselves the best possible chance of moving forward. So thank you to you, thank you to SURF, and also thank you to Andy Milne, who is about to stand down as CEO of SURF. Andy's leadership and his contribution to shaping and delivering regeneration policy in Scotland has been massive, and is only matched by the passion and desire that he has to support our people and our communities. And I want to wish him all the very best for the future. Finally, huge congratulations again to everyone recognised tonight, and I hope that the opportunity for us all to meet in person is not too far away. In the meantime, have fun this evening, congratulations once again, and importantly, stay safe. Well done.
Thank you very much, Aileen. That's very kind remarks there. We're in danger of beginning to sound like a mutual admiration society here, but above that, the conviction and sincerity from yourself, clearly articulated there, I'm sure will be warmly received by everybody here tonight. So thanks to you, and thanks to all of the judges who have helped us through this process. It's been a difficult one for them, so many good applications, so many good projects. Well done again to the winning projects, and of course to the shortlisted ones too. But before we wrap up things tonight, I hope you're going to stay with us, because we've got an excellent after-dinner speaker. SURF is developing a bit of a role in bringing forward authors and artistic people to do our after-dinner speakers at the SURF Awards. And this year we're particularly pleased to be welcoming Kirstin Innes. Kirstin's an award-winning novelist. She's a journalist, she's a playwright, lives in Renfrewshire. Her first novel, Fishnet, won the Guardian's Not the Brooker Prize in 2015, and that's now in development for television with STV. And her second novel, Scabby Queen, which I'm told the First Minister is a bit of a fan of, was published in the Fourth Estate in 2020 and longlisted for the Gordon Byrne Prize. Kirstin's currently working on a play with the National Theatre of Scotland and a screenplay on the life of Muriel Spark, so I'll certainly look forward to that. So as I say, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our after-dinner speaker, Kirstin Innes.
Hi. I am delighted to have been asked to be your final speaker this evening. I was going to start off by saying that this is a bit of a strange situation, but actually it's not anymore, is it? We're all getting worryingly used to this. And in fact, given the year that we've just had, it feels quite appropriate to be addressing a group of people who are being rewarded and recognised in part for their work within communities through a screen. Because for a lot of people now, the screen is our portal to community these days, isn't it? The strange new world we're in. However, I want to do a wee magic trick with you, if you will indulge me. And actually, you have no choice but to indulge me, unless you throw me out of the Zoom room, I'm not sure. So I'm thinking of the film Hook. I thought it was Peter Pan, but I suspect it's actually the Robin Williams film Hook, where the children have empty plates and they close their eyes and they imagine an amazing dinner in front of them. So, you ready? You're going to close your eyes? Yep. So, let's just imagine we are now in a massive hotel function room. We are all dolled up to the nines. Nobody has their pajama trousers on underneath. And we're underneath a great big ugly chandelier or two that's definitely seen better days. I hope you've all had a good dinner. How was the haggis stuffed chicken? A wee bit dry. How did the veggies enjoy their goat's cheese risotto? Because it's always goat's cheese risotto for the veggies. And of course, you all look absolutely stunning, by the way. Those earrings are great. And this lady over here, you have amazing shoes. I am going to talk to you about them in great detail later on when we bump into each other in the toilets. You there, table near the front. You, the one who was heckling all the previous speakers. Maybe have a wee coffee, pal. Wee glass of water. Make sure you don't forget your award and leave it on the table. Scooped up and taken home by that waiter you've been annoying all night who needs a new doorstop. Could you pop it in his jacket pocket, love? Perfect. Thank you. See, collective imagination. There you go. Bet you can practically smell the coffee breath of the person at the seat next to you now, can't you? Now we're a community, an online community, still in our separate boxes, hemmed in by your phone case or your computer screen, but still a community. These days, I live in a small village in Renfrewshire. It's big enough for 3 pubs, but still small enough that folk generally know your business, whether you want them to or not. I'm originally from a pebble-dashed wee suburb of Edinburgh where we didn't talk much to the neighbours. Growing up, my wee brother and I were just about the only kids in our street, unless someone was visiting their granny. So when I come back home to my village now, after spending any significant time with my mum, my mum's in Edinburgh, I have to retrain myself to say hello to people in the street again. That's the size my village is. If you don't say hello to people in the street, you are making a name for yourself. It's a bit difficult with the masks on, right enough. And while you're social distancing on the pavement outside the chippy and the butchers, so I've been practicing doing really, really friendly eyes. What do you think? That was a wee bit psychotic, actually, wasn't it? Now I see it. Might need to do some work on that. But it's been a bit of a journey for me because I think I've been looking for a community most of my life without realising it until I found myself here. I think Surf asked me to speak to you tonight because I wrote a book, Scabby Queen, that got a bit of attention last year. It's the story of 5 decades of recent British, Scottish and European history as one very politically active woman lived them. And because of that, my publishers put a lot of very grand sounding quotes calling it a State of the Nation novel on the front cover, which was strange for me because I didn't set out to write a political book, or not consciously. I wanted to write a book about how people relate to and perceive each other. What interests me as a writer is the tiny wee human moment where one person sparks up against another, where a change happens almost undetected at first. Those little moments that one person's humanity reveals itself, I guess. And the accumulation of those taken together every day, that makes up a community. All the little interactions we have where we're adjusting to or accommodating other people, working with them or empathizing with them, sometimes without even realizing it. That's where I started with my book, tiny little nuggets of human interaction. And somewhere along the way, the book became political, possibly because all politics is really also about empathy, or a lack of empathy. See if you remember back to almost a year ago, before we were all exhausted, almost exactly a year ago actually, because the first case of coronavirus was confirmed on the 2nd of March 2020. If you remember how it felt, the first flushes of the first lockdown, I mean, it was terrifying. We were in shock. But what I witnessed in a lot of people in my local community was almost like an adrenaline shot. There were projects springing up all over the place, organised by WhatsApp and text, because we couldn't meet up with even one other household back then. And mostly these projects were to do with food. And I think that's a really nice, instinctual human thing, isn't it? That a lot of people's first concern with this pandemic kick in, with circumstances changing for everyone, was that not everyone would be able to eat. We want to feed each other. Some volunteers in my village took over a bit of disused waste ground on the way to the play park and banged together some planks to make very rudimentary vegetable boxes and started growing tatties and courgettes and broccoli. A pal of mine who used to be a very glam party girl back in the before times, she organised funding for the village to receive loads of seed tatties and grow bags and compost, and she started distributing them around to families who didn't have gardens big enough for vegetable plots. You'd see her on the high street hauling these massive bags of manure out of her car and dropping them off on people's doorsteps. You know, that early pandemic version of tap door run. And it was really impressive. I think also because her only real exercise before that had been a bit more of the big fish, little fish, fish in a bowl kind of variety. I was sitting in her garden the other day. We were shouting at each other from the appropriate distance while our kids kind of ran around and climbed all over each other. And she said it was funny, but actually she'd never felt closer to the community than this year when she was deliberately kept at a distance from them. My partner is by profession, he writes plays and performs them, and he was completely unable to work, obviously. We've got 2 preschool children, and most of our income, about 80% of our income for the past 5 years, has come from him touring his shows up and down the country just by himself. We were lucky. We could apply to hardship funds for artists and for the self-employment grant. We were lucky because we have the tools to know that we can do that. Anyway, left floating in space, I watched him find that energy too, feel that adrenaline shot. At first, when lockdown was announced and he panicked, he ran to our local Spar and he came back with a stack of 5 reduced price microwavable lasagnas. This was him providing for us, I think. I don't know. They all went out of date that day. We ate a lot of lasagna the first day that lockdown was announced. But he rallied, and within days, he was setting up a network of volunteers on the local Facebook page. And suddenly, we were running a food bank from our house. Again, that first instinct is just to make sure that someone can eat. It's how we show love. So a crate was donated by one of the local shops, and it was sitting by our front door, began to fill up with food donations. There'd be a knock on the door 5 or 6 times a day. Faces I'd never seen before, even under the masks, and they were dropping off bags of pasta and rice, tins of tomatoes, jars of sauce. We were wearing gloves in our living room, making up the boxes at night after the kids had gone to bed, handing them over on the doorstep to the volunteers who would deliver them to the people who were shielding and couldn't get to the supermarket. After a week or so, our toddler managed to open up the biggest bag of rice I have ever seen. I have no idea how. We are still finding grains of rice down the back of the sofa, 8 months, 9 months on, a year on. So we realised it probably wasn't hygienic or practical to run a food bank in a very small nursery from the same tiny living room. I really hope nobody got like a tub of half dried up Play-Doh or a couple of bits of Lego in their food box at first. So my fella moved the food bank to the local sports centre and then the Masonic Hall. And each time he moved, more and more people from the village got involved, this sort of snowball effect. He made contact with groups in nearby villages who were doing the same thing. And together they arranged for one of the nearby supermarkets to deliver leftover food to 2 villages at once every Friday. He's arranging funding. I mean, it's still going strong thanks to Brexit. unfortunately. And, you know, I'm absolutely amazed to watch this guy. This is one of our first dates 13 years ago. He was all like wooing me like, listen, sweetheart, I'm an artist. If you're looking for a guy to get a mortgage with and build your flat pack furniture, that ain't me. He also dressed up as Santa for a socially distanced visit to the village nursery garden this year, by the way. It's just another example of the things this year has done to us all, I guess. Community has happened in different ways this year. So at home with the two small children, and particularly my eldest is 4, almost 5, and he needs to see his friends every day. I find myself depending on a WhatsApp group of local parents, local mums mainly, with similarly aged children. That was my lifeline, that WhatsApp group. And I know so many people in that situation. We began creating trails for each other in the woods. So one child would build a den and take a picture and send it to all their friends and leave clues for them to find it. And then each child had to take a picture of themselves in the den afterwards. And, you know, they felt like they were making contact, or building something together still. I mean, something like Zoom, where you can see a box full of people in tiny squares on your screen, you know, works better for a quiz than a conversation, maybe. But, you know, there are all these new ways we've found. There's new tribal alliances that have sprung up on social media in response to the pandemic and lockdown. Not all of them good, but these are the ways that people have kind of found to keep coming back, keep building communities for themselves, as we've been denied the traditional forms. The doorstep clap, the first one, was a strange thing, wasn't it? But quite liked, you know, getting to wave to all the neighbours on a Thursday evening at 8 o'clock. Even if when they introduced the pots and pans, it did wake up my baby quite a lot. But, yeah. I'm very, very wary of saying we're all in the same boat. That's been flung around a lot in the past year, and it rings totally false to me. The writer Damien Barr, who grew up in a housing scheme in Motherwell, said, we're not all in the same boat. We're all in the same storm. Some of us are on super yachts and some of us have just the one oar. So I'm wary about talking about any sort of universal of lockdown life. I was privileged enough to be able to stay at home with my children and my partner while other people kept the shelves stacked and the bins emptied and the wards running. But what everyone does have in common is this experience of having their life completely disrupted, having everything turned on its head this last year. It's not necessarily a positive experience, but it is shared. We're starting from an uncertain position now. We're all reacting to it in different ways. But I think it does give us a foundation of some common ground, hopefully something to build from. Build back better was a thing that we heard a lot at first, before we were all absolutely scunnered with lockdown, before we'd endured months and months of all this, before the death toll had risen above triple figures even. And hope was still very much around and present. Do you remember that feeling now? That there might actually be the possibility of making something better and new by stopping or being stopped from our destructive, consumption-heavy paths. Everyone more or less having to stay at home and stay still. We were going to be kind of hiccuped out of our routines and have the space to imagine the world differently. I'd imagine the people being honoured tonight, all of you sitting here looking gorgeous in our great big imaginary hotel function suite together. I'd imagine you're familiar with that feeling, even if you've been subject to the grinding pandemic exhaustion we've all felt in the last few months. I really, really hope that this evening you felt celebrated and you can take a few minutes to bask in what you've achieved. I hope it's helped to reinvigorate you if you're feeling burnt out, and I hope you get to have a rest. We can only keep going. This is the thing I've worked out. If we help each other out, give each other breaks and make allowances and stay connected. And I think if the last year has proved anything at all, it's that we're all desperately in need of that connection. Now, I'm going to go and have some imaginary wine, and I'll see you in a toilets for a chat about where you got those shoes later. Thanks very much, and I hope you've had a great evening.
Thank you, Kirstin. I will definitely be going out to buy Scabby Queen tomorrow via Amazon, of course. So thank you once again. It's been a great night. It's been a moving night for me. This is the, gosh, how many times have I done this? I think I've done this 18 times, so it's probably time to go. But I have to say that in the 18 years that I've worked with SURF, it's been times of challenges, but every single year the SURF Awards process has been a real boost. It's great to see the kind of work that goes on, the kind of projects that just sprout out of the ground to meet particular challenges in the way that Kirstin talked about there. So I'm really grateful to everybody who's participated tonight. Thank you to Emma, particularly, for organising the whole thing. Thank you again to the judges, to all the projects, not even just the winners and the shortlisted projects, but all of the projects that applied for the SURF Awards. I do hope that you'll join us and my SURF colleagues, via Emma particularly, in participating in those shared learning events we're going to do later in the year, because that's another chance to get back together. And as Kirstin was reminding us there, maybe by July, who knows, maybe we'll be able to physically get together, meet again, and we'll see what's changed, and we'll see if we've managed together to build a better Scotland. So thank you for your participation, and keep up the good work. Good night.